All right, this month or previous month, July, we had 21 prints. Of those 21 prints, we had 11 of them already reach over 15% in terms of returns. We do have a few that are kind of just mingling around right underneath that threshold at this point. But that's a 52% hit rate. On average, the returns are giving 38% returns. We do have a couple of these that are actually earnings plays. For example, this ANET one, we can see had 114% return over the course of 6 days. It was an earnings play and popped up pretty heavily after their earnings. So you could see pretty solid returns there. PCG, very interesting one. They actually, after earnings, dropped quite a bit, but then recovered and came back. We saw quite a bit of unusualness on this. If you go look back on previous posts that we had, if you're in our Discord, you can see that a couple of us are still in this position as well. Palantir, as you guys know, Palantir has been doing pretty well. In this case, already seeing a 65% return. Celsius, same thing. Celsius saw a big pop right after earnings, up 15% in terms of the equity from their entry point, but that one's at a 95% return already. ILMN, this was actually an interesting one. We saw a little bit of discrepancy versus a different software that's used by a lot of other people. They said that it was a sell or it was a spread. In our case, we saw it as a purchase. ILMN actually ended up popping quite a bit, went from $4 up to $10.60 pretty quickly. 165% return on that one. Nvidia, you can see it's been doing pretty well, but as of right now, those are still considered a wash, barely up a little bit. So I do expect these have until 2027, so there's actually quite some time there. Robinhood, HIMS, these ones, HIMS actually popped before the earnings. In this situation, HIMS, the earnings have actually dropped, but before it dropped, during their earnings, it actually already saw 90% returns before that even happened. And Robinhood, we can all see, has been doing pretty well. This one saw 36% returns on the position. They do have till 2026, but as a result, we also do see 16% return on just the equity. Now, obviously, we do have a few of these that are, they're struggling a little bit, but I will point out Circle does have their earnings coming up this week. Coinbase did drop after their earnings. This one might, I don't know if this will necessarily recover right away, but this does have until March of next year. So keep an eye out for those ones. I do believe Etsy also saw a little bit of a drop after their earnings, but this one isn't down nearly as bad as you might expect. Now, let's jump a little bit further into previous months and what we've seen. We've actually saw, if you take a look over here on this date of high, what I've done is if it's updated within the last month, remember I do this every single month. If it's updated in the last month, it will show up in a blue highlight here. So you can see from last month, all of these actually saw higher highs in the last 30 days or so. This one, ARKK, is up 352%. LEU is up 263%. Riot saw as high as 190%. You can see these ones have actually, sometimes they pop very quickly. Sometimes you'll see it take a little bit longer for it to hit. So average hit rate for the month before, so June, is 155%, which is pretty awesome. If you're able to get into any of these positions, I'm sure you saw some pretty heavy returns on those. All right, we go back into this May. May was actually a pretty solid month. The only misses here are Tesla, MicroStrategy, and Alibaba. But those ones, like I say, take a look at how much time they have. This MicroStrategy one will be expiring pretty soon, but you got till September and you also have till December, so we could still see these recover by then. Overall, we saw 20 out of 23 win rate, so 86.96% on that. And I will point out here too, if you see this W with the underline here, that means it was a miss in previous months and became a win this month. So the hit rate has gone up this month with these. On average, 114% on those. We do see some pretty big hitters here. EWI 373%, Amazon 209, Toast 125, Meta 113, XYZ. XYZ did pop after their earnings, by the way. XYZ saw 264%. All of these, if you notice they're in dark green, that means they showed over 100% returns. The neon green is anything between 15 to 100%. So as you can see, we're seeing some pretty solid returns. Dick's Sporting Goods, Silver SLV, 232% in that situation. Now, the important month I actually want to bring up is the month of April. We saw in April how there was actually quite a bit of fear due to the tariffs that were announced. As a result, you can see, though, if you were able to buy that dip, I'm just going to point this out, 96% hit rate, on average 416% returns across 29 prints here. All right, 28 of them were wins. So only this one, Alibaba, ended up being a miss. It was actually 3 months out, and in terms of STAX, 3 months out is actually kind of a shorter term type of play for that. But look at this. We've got 1,000% for CLS, 1,150 for cores, 1,196% for a SPY print. We also saw 500%, 500%, 900%. There's a lot of big winners. If you were following STAX, what you would have noticed is 29 prints in the month of STAX, or in the month of April for STAX, is actually a pretty high number. So you can see they were heavily buying the dip and aiming for some pretty extended expected moves in that situation. So you can see in here, there are only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, 6 of them did not see higher highs right now in the month of July. And so I'll keep that in mind. When STAX says buy, that's what you definitely should do. What's up, Max? How you doing?
Now, by the way, so this is my second angle. We're actually live on Twitch as well. We're doing a 24-hour stream, so we're gonna do a little meme coin hunting, compliments of the FU Money Club meme coin chat to kick off the night later tonight. But yeah, so probably gonna do some racing later, do some more earnings reviews. I also put out a CPI scenario for everybody, so you can literally trade CPI with expectations. So awesome. Good day so far.
Awesome. Yeah, if you guys are available after this, you can always join Max over there. Max has his Substack. He's been doing a lot of earnings reports. He's got a YouTube as well. So those are all in the description box below. Make sure that you guys jump over there after we're done with this today. And he will be doing a 24-hour live stream, so he'll be on through market tomorrow as well. Let's finish up this STAX AI, and then we'll get into our earnings reports for the week as well. The most important thing I want to point out is that if you see in blue on the right, these are all updates for this last month. So in the last, I would say 30 to 40 days, because I did do this backtesting a little bit late this month. I finished it up just today, so I would consider the 8th to be the updated month of last month. And what you can notice here is, again, a lot of dark green. A lot of dark green, meaning we're seeing over 100% on a lot of these positions when you consider it. So keep that in mind. 19 out of these 21 are winners. And actually, technically, you could call this 21 out of 21 if you're using 0% as your threshold. We like to make sure that our standards are a little bit higher for STAX AI. We do believe that a lot of you guys have some higher expectations with these. So we've set our threshold at 15%. So, but again, Apple is up, and actually this MU position is up 16% from when they entered. So, if you don't have to play the options, remember, options are going to be a little bit more risky, a little bit more in terms of, you have to understand the knowledge and how it works with the time decay and things like that. But overall, if you take a look from those entries, the spot is their entry, to what the Google Finance is telling us their price is trading at for Friday, all of these are actually up. There's 2 of them, PDD and Intel, which are down a little bit. But even if you're just going with equity, you can get some pretty massive gains when it comes down to our STAX AI prints. Let's continue a little further back. Month of February, I will say I updated these numbers to reflect the 15% threshold that we have So the hit rate is a little bit lower at 68%. But keep in mind, though, the average return for these is still at 146%. We do have these 200%, this 800% CAR, and up here Palantir up 800% as well. And even if you just, again, if you just went off with the spot change of what it was at to now, from February till now, Palantir is up 125%. CAR is up 80%. Palantir in this position is up 80%. So understand, when STAX is saying something is about to happen, or STAX is predicting a certain move in a certain direction, I suggest you should listen. All right. Going back to the beginning of the year, over here we got 15 out of our 16. Oh, let me change that. It's actually 14 out of our 16 here. We do have one miss and one that is considered a wash, that Tesla, only at 11%. But still, this one was a big month because of our Alibaba position. This is one of our biggest winners so far, 3,395%. We saw Baba go from $1.11 up to $38. So your $111 would have turned into $3,800 right there with Alibaba. All right. So keep that in mind. These, we do this every single month. We update what the prints are. That way you guys can see, and you can see it's fully transparent. Every single month I've been doing this. You can go back into every single YouTube video that I've done and see the updated prints and see what's gone on with STAX AI. Just so you guys also see down here, overall hit rates. Okay, so I did update this with our 15% threshold. Our hit rate is at 84%. 84.48% in terms of the 407 total prints. If we go by just anything over 0% for our wins, this hit rate jumps to about 91 to 92%. On average, the highs hit 243%. As you guys can see, there's some big hitters like the Alibaba print, such as Palantir, things like that. It is not uncommon to see our prints go over 100% when it comes down to a STAX AI situation. So if you're interested in getting this type of data, interested in seeing what STAX AI and what we're doing in our community, don't hesitate. Go to investorcentralclub.com. Under memberships, you can sign up for our service. We do have a Discord channel. We also do have a STAX software that you guys can get. STAX software does include a few of the Discord channels as well. And anytime something for STAX AI comes in, you can bet the entire chat is discussing it, trying to figure out whether or not they want to get in. I will also point out too, I understand 52% seems kind of low in terms of our hit rate for the month of July, but in my experience, in all my time doing these reviews and doing the STAX AI backtesting, this is just setting up for the upcoming months. You got to remember, a lot of these expiration dates are aiming for 2026. Some 2027, so there's quite a bit of time when it comes down to it, and I do expect that these people generally have some idea of some sort of insider information, or they've really done their research to be able to put their money where their mouth is. And down in due time, I do expect a lot more of these to hit, and a lot of the winners are ready to potentially go higher. So keep that in mind. All right, before we jump into our earnings reviews, I do want to point out that I did put together on our Hive, which is in the description box below, I did put together a introduction to STAX AI software. It is a way for you to understand how you can install our app, a couple of things such as how to turn on push notifications, some basics, and some introductory videos we put together. We even have an interview with our CEO, Kimo, and all the back tests are all on a playlist for you guys to see as well. In addition, we have our emoji signals that are explained. This entire graphic that I put together for you guys helps you understand where the risk is and what our signals actually mean on our STAX software that help you kind of gauge, again, if big money, if they're spending millions and millions of dollars on positions like this, it generally means that they have some sort of insight as to what direction that possibly could go. And we also do have a couple of success stories and previous members that are sat down with me, did an interview, and discussed how they use STAX and how they use it to their advantage. So if you go under the Beehive, I do believe you can access these. You may have to give us your email, but the Beehive itself is a free service where you guys can get in and get additional information that we will be sending out on a weekly basis. Now, with that being said, I know a lot of you guys are